All right, Deconstruction Day 1. This journal entry is April 8th, 2005. So on the first day of removal, I got the front bumper off using gloves so I wouldn't cut myself again. We also got the headlight buckets off. Boy, those were a pain. Hopefully other things will come off easier. I did find a means of holding the hollow bolt through the stanchion of the light bucket, but I sacrificed a drill bit in the process to do it. I was also able to get the doors open too. That was about all I was able to get done on that workday's evening. So Deconstruction Day 2, this is dated April 10th of 2005. Today I got the front fenders off. A lot of bolts broke, and there are a lot more rust on the bottom of the door areas of the cab noted here today. I pulled the rest of the glass out of the truck without cutting myself. Boy, did I get immersed in rust and dirt debris on this day. Okay, Deconstruction Day number 3. This is dated April 11th of 2005. Got a little bit more done today. The bed is removed and the running boards. I got the bed completely broken down and everything fitting on the shelving that I was able to build out of some material that Joel gave me. It sure is nice to have room to work on things down at the shop, and these shelves really are helping to keep the work area clear. Deconstruction Day number 4. This is dated April 17th of 2005. I got a partial day to work on Mavis, taken from a character on Thomas the Tank Engine yesterday, and an afternoon today after church and lunch. Yesterday, grass and hair cuttings hampered our progress a little bit. Progress was slow when we got the chance to work on her today. Rust is a real pain. Bolts and pins are all seized to the point where they either break or don't or need to be drilled out to be removed. The door hinges proved to be a real first test. I applied heat to the lower hinge of the passenger door to the point where I had the entire hinge area cherry red hot. Slag was moving around all over on the outside, and yet I broke a couple of drip pins trying to get this thing out. Checking with Joel, he was not sure why the heat wasn't moving the part, but suggested I try to confine it to just the pin and not running too much over the entire part area. Feist seemed to think that on the end of the pin flared out with all the heat softening the metal. He felt the drip pin was just spreading out the bottom of the pin, making the head inside the pinhole. He suggested drilling the pins out after the band job on Saturday night. That is what I tried, and it worked pretty good. Got the passenger door off at about 4 a.m., so I felt better to head home and get some shut-eye. After church and lunch, I made it back down to the shop and just drilled the pins out of the driver door. That went pretty well. Then I worked on the windshield frame. When I pulled the check plates for the windshield wiper motor, windshield hinge area, on the top jamb of the window inside the cab, there was a ton of insulated material in the area. Apparently when the truck sat outside, the stuff would get wet and take forever to dry out. The result is that the interior panel, that is the part of the frame of the cab itself, is fairly well rusted. It will take some work when I get the MIG welder. I will try to find and grind some damage here to try to bring this panel back into some sort of shape. I broke all but 2 screws involved with the front window hinges, but I eventually got the unit out. More broken tools in the form of busted screwdriver tips. Good thing Craftsman will replace these for free at the Sears store. I got the windshield out. The steering column started on with one of the 8 bolts that attached to the cab frame. At that point, Chris said I should come clean up so we can go to Bandanas, for supper. Whoopee! No McDonald's. Danny, our 3-year-old at this time, was not enthused. Good thing we haven't gone to Chuck E. Cheese yet. Deconstruction Day number 5. This is dated April 19th of 2005, and this is the last entry I have in my log for deconstruction work. So with the recent work, I was tired of beating my knuckles into mincemeat. I decided to burn off the bolts that did not have the castle nuts on them. The others were just seized to the point where they were just twisting off anyway, causing more knuckle damage on sharp steel parts. I fired up the hot wrench, as Feist would call it, and blasted off 3 more bolts. And I got some old straps I used to keep my riding lawnmower on the trailer and hooked them up to the cab. And the picking winch, and the picking frame worked perfectly, and the cab was off in 5 minutes. I found that I am going to have to work on the casters I have under the cab to move it around the shop. One of them are higher than the other 2, making the cab wobbly on the wheels platform that I made by the 3 casters. The wood under the cab of the frame was shot. I kept the old ones for patterns to make up new ones. The rear frame was shot, but I knew that when I picked the truck up with Feist. I'm going to attempt to rebuild the rear with some 1/8 inch plate and some 2-inch wide by 3/16 inch band iron on the top and bottom to reform the outer channels. Scott Reed gave me some X-bracing he is not going to use on his Woody. That will help properly pattern the rear as they go all the way back to the tail. Hopefully the profile of the car frames match the truck frames. There are differences in the holes of the cars versus the truck X-braces, so we'll see how that all works out.